So yeah, we were briefly talking before about our time at Trinity together.
Yeah, man.
Which was
good memories.
How many years ago now was that?
I was there 2009 to 2011.
Jesus.
Yeah, man, it's wild, isn't it? It feels like yesterday, but it obviously wasn't yesterday.
Yeah, I remember that gig we did at Ronnie Scotts to playing your music.
Bless you, man. That was
incredible.
That was a huge opportunity for me. I mean, I'd only been through the door about 5 minutes. I'd literally started that semester.
Right.
And it was like something like 2 weeks into term, announced that I'd won this Dankworth prize for jazz composition, which had a cash element to it, you know, like £1,000, which when you're a skint student is pretty handy. But arguably more valuable than that was that the piece got performed at Ronnie's by a Trinity big band, and like so immediately I'm been there for 5 minutes, and I've kind of had 17 musicians on the jazz course play one of my charts, and basically off the back of that performance started my own big band, because a couple of people spoke to me afterwards, said, Matt, we love your writing, we'd be up for playing some more of your writing, book a room, let's make it happen. And then I swear it was like a month later, someone dropped out of a London Jazz Festival slot. They needed someone to fill the slot, a big band thing. My housemate at the time, who was involved in the conversations, put me forward, and literally 2 months later we're doing a gig at the Jazz Festival.
Wow.
And I'd been in London for no time at all, and was a bit like nervous about how quick I was going to fit in, because I just knew the level down here was so elite. And I'd done my undergraduate at Leeds, great musicians up there, no doubt, but just the sheer fucking numbers of quality, outstanding musicians in London was crazy. So part of me thought, look, I'll come down here, I'll do my masters, and probably come back to Leeds with my tail between my legs, but just being like, whatever, I gave it a go, and tell people some stories from the big smoke,
That's a lot to happen in the space of
it was
short
crazy
time.
And I was just like, oh my God, London, the streets are paved with gold. It's a land of opportunity.
What did you have to show them at that point? Was it recordings then? So when the London Orchestra, the London kind of festival thing came out, what did you show them? Was it?
Mate, I mean, it was just, I think they were just desperate. I think someone that, so Paul Pace, great promoter, London jazz promoter, has just contributed so much to the scene. I mean, these people are like the fabric of the scene, really, a lot of these people. And he was one of the promoters at Ronnie Scotts, but he also used to run nights at the Spice of Life, which was down the road. And what was so great about the Spice of Life, which is just a pub, so it was the basement of the pub, was it was kind of like a gestation, kind of incubating like venue for local musicians to build up their thing, be it a big band, be it a quintet. And then, you did a bunch of them, and then he would, once you were ready, as deemed by Paul, he would invite the other promoters at Ronnie's, be like, I think we should book this guy for Ronnie's, And so it played a really important part of the ecosystem of the London jazz scene. So shout out to Paul Pace. But yeah, I think he used to run during the jazz festival these kind of double big band days either side of the festival, because the festival's bookended by these weekends. And it's like a 10-day festival, I guess. And he just had someone drop out. Right. They just needed someone. And I think it was just, and my housemate at the time was like, oh, there's this guy, I'm living with this guy, Matt Roberts, he's great, and he's got a big band. And Paul was just like, yeah, great,
Nice.
And I just got lucky, man.
It's crazy to think the difference between that. I feel like nowadays, especially with like new venues or new things happening, I'm sure there is an element of that, but I think there's a kind of media they've got to have to back it up as well. So people, I guess, want to hear like certain level of recordings, even like videos, to a certain point of like previous performances. Totally.
I mean, that's so it's so true. I think then what happened was, so that's what I described about that thing of the Spice of Life being a kind of incubator for people then getting a shot at playing at Ronnie Scotts.
Yeah.
I think what got me to the thing of Ronnie's was I filmed some good like video content at one of my Spice Alive London Jazz Festival gigs, and I think that for somewhere like Ronnie's, it means that look, if they're going to book a basically unknown musician, unknown to their members and the tourists that might be passing through, they kind of need some content for people to look at the dates and be like, oh, maybe we'll go on this date. Who's on? Oh, let's watch this video. Oh, this looks cool. Yeah, let's watch this. You know, so it's kind of you're helping them help you. You know, by having stuff like that.
I feel that's what videos are like nowadays. People always ask like, why do you constantly do videos? It's like, well, that's exactly why. It
100%.
backs up everything you're saying.
100%. Like I get asked to, I guess fix, or I get asked by fixers, hey man, do you know any good guitarists? Do you know any good sax players? Do you know whatever? And they kind of don't just want to take my word for it if I just send them a list of names and numbers. They want like Instagram accounts, you know, and even I can say, look, trust me, this person's amazing, but they kind of need to hear it, understandably. You know, like I get it, and like, you know, everyone can be you can be a great player. There's so many great players, but you might not be the best player for that particular gig. And the only way for them to find that out is by hearing you and seeing what you're about. And so I do get it. You know, I know people have lots of complex relationships with social media, but I think in the modern day, there's probably like a bare minimum you kind of have to do, unless you're really elite. You know, like
really at that level and above. Yeah, do you remember, I'm trying to think of that masterclasses that I remember from Trinity. The one that sticks out for me, even actually in terms of arranging as well, was John Paul Jones.
Oh yeah.
And he was just talking about like, he used to do like 3 or 4 sessions a day.
That's crazy.
Like just take like taxis between each of these sessions. But he also was asked in one of the sessions, like, do you do arranging? And he was like, yeah. And basically they're looking for like an orchestral arranger for these huge Hollywood films. And he was just saying like the advantage of just saying yes to people, even if you can't do it. Say yes initially and then try and work it out. So what he did is say yes, and then he kind of went away and had to study scores and basically then come back and be like, yeah, I can do it. But at that point, if he just said no, then he would have been just thrown away or not even kind of considered for that role. Just that fact, just saying, yes, I can do that, having the confidence in yourself, right, I probably can learn this. Go away, studying it, and then come back, then coming back into that situation.
100%. Well, I mean, that's an example of that. When I got asked to do that London Jazz Festival gig, I had about 20 minutes of big band music,
right?
But had to deliver 245s.
Oh, right.
So I was like, oh, wow, better get
all
right.
All your originals, or was it like arrangements?
There were some arrangements at that time.
Right.
But it later became only original music.
Nice.
Once I built up the repertoire. But yeah, so that's an example of that. Yeah, I mean, I remember that masterclass with John Paul Jones and Led Zeppelin, and that was interesting because that was actually a composition faculty masterclass. It was my orchestration teacher, Stephen Montague, interviewing him because John Paul Jones has got an interest in contemporary music, like experimental music.
Yeah.
Really interesting cat. But yeah, hearing him talk, as we've heard other of our mentors like talk about the session days, kind of pre-90s, pre-80s, basically before we arrived.
Yeah.
Just in the time for the whole scene to collapse. But it's not quite true, you know. But
the rise of the internet, and the rise
and synthesizers and sample packs and all that stuff. But yeah, you hear these stories of just people just absolutely rammed, their diaries completely rammed. Who did I was in the pub with a great trumpet player who played on Kenny's big band records. What the hell's he called? You're going to help me out here. Oh, God, this is embarrassing. Old geezer does London Jazz Orchestra. Anyhow, fucking hell, what's he called? God, he's going to do
some legend.
Anyhow, fucking hell. Anyhow, but I mean, him, John Paul Jones, like all these cats, you see, like, I mean, but basically, he had his physical diary, and in the diary was like just 4 recording dates a day, you know.
Yeah.
And it didn't say who it was for, what it was for. You know, it could have been for a radio jingle, could have been for a recording artist, could have been for a TV theme, a film score. Who knows? But it was just rammed. I mean, John Paul Jones said there was a street. He described a street in Soho or something where there was just a load of smaller studios. And he just like, if you just like had a bass guitar, like on your back, and you're walking down, hanging around that area, someone's at some point is going to run out and be like, we need a bass guitarist.
Yeah.
Like, can you just like play root notes? Yeah, all right. You know, and people just were able to build careers from that. Kenny Wheeler, I mean, he's a jazz musician that, you know, you and I admire, a big part of the scene and kind of the identity of a certain kind of group of British jazz musicians. He was part of all that. And he came to like, he arrived from Canada more or less butt naked, you know, like no one knew who he was, but, you know, could play. And he just said, yeah, I just started working. It was just as simple as that. Right. I could read, I could play the trumpet, and it was that easy. And he was told by an arranger friend of his, Gene Leese, had said, you know, look, the scene in London is just crazy. You can just go over there and just work. You know, there's just so much stuff, big band stuff in particular. This would have been in the 60s. And of course, he got in with the Dankworth band and stuff. But yeah, crazy time, obviously, same in LA. But I don't know, it's interesting. I saw a kind of a guy a little bit older than us on Instagram talking about how those days are gone and how he wouldn't recommend people getting into what we're doing now for that reason, because it's just a bit harder now. But in some senses, there's definitely less sessions happening than what there was back then. But in other senses, they're just different now. So now, instead of going to Abbey Road or Air, you're going to someone's front room. Yeah. You know, some producer's front room.
Yeah.
Now, you're still getting paid. You know, you're still getting paid quite well. Maybe better than the union, much better than the union rates. But, like... it's just different now, because now everyone's got a studio in their front room. Not everyone, obviously, but like people, you know, producers or whatever. Music's just made in a different way. Often it's now expected, especially for home players, that we have capacity to actually record ourselves at home. That's another way sessions are happening. It's not sessions as it was back then. No. But also sessions as it was back then is also happening as well. There's just a lot fewer of them, I guess. But, you know, I don't know. I just think it's changed now. It's different now. I love to romanticize that time, but at the same time, I'm not super negative about where we're at right now. I think where we're at right now, it's a really exciting time to be a musician. Definitely. And I also think if you look around at the economy generally, who's got a secure job? No. Point to me to someone who's got a secure job.
You hear countless stories of people in corporations.
Mate.
Being in there. I was talking to someone the other day who'd been like a sales director for like 35 years. And they're just immediately like made redundant. You get like 10 months of pay. That's it.
Mate, if you're lucky. Yeah. I mean, I hear all kinds of stories. And also it's about enjoyment of your work as well, because I know people who are in the corporate world or whatever, you know, they've got like a money job. And they well know that not only are they probably not contributing anything positive to the world, but they're probably in many cases actively harming the world. Absolutely. So, and they're aware of that, and so they have this thing, and they think I've got to switch this up. So they're thinking about retraining as a nurse, as a teacher, you know, whatever, a social carer, but then meanwhile, I know people who are nurses and teachers who are just underpaid, demoralized, you know, like overworked, and they're just like, I just can't do this anymore. I'm just going to get a job in recruitment or something, because I just need. So both parties are wanting to jump ship. Yeah. And
now our job seems quite...
Mate, meanwhile, we live in the dream, man.
Yeah, get to travel the world, getting paid really well.
We love what we do. And you know what? The biggest thing I think that we have that seems to be so rare in London in particular for all kinds of reasons is community. Yeah. I mean, the community that we have... I was talking to someone about this the other day. You know, I've had friends, I've had people, you know, I've dated or whatever, you know, I've known really well. And I'm like, you have about 3 to 4 mates. Maybe not all of them even live in London. Yeah. And one of them's a bit flaky. Yeah. Right? I feel like me and you probably each have between, I don't know, 50 and 100 people. Yeah. That if we sent a text out being like, Max, can I go for a pint? I need to talk to someone. Yeah. we'd do it.
100%.
And we'd actually, it's like, actually be there for each other, listen for each other, care for each other. It's like authentic. It's not just like hustle, you know. It's and I just think that is the biggest gift that music's given me. Is honestly, it's just that community, the breadth of community, and also what kind of people, the best people, man.
100%.
And people from all over the world, people from different backgrounds, you know. It's a beautiful thing. So I feel very, very lucky.
They're also the people who are ballsy enough to kind of take that chance to go into a world like this as well. Because obviously it comes with certain risk, but then obviously if you keep going and keep pushing through, like you said, the rewards and anything you can get from it are like absolutely huge. Like to be a musician in this day and age, like, and be able to do all those different things, travel the world, like, all with all your best pals. You have to sometimes like sit there and just like be grateful and think, this is a ridiculous life. Yeah. What an amazing life it is.
No, it's bonkers, yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. But I think if you sit, because I think there is that danger, certain musicians will kind of stand there and be like, oh, I'm moaning about this, like it's a long gig. And it's like, well, if you actually zoom out, because me and Jesse talked about this as well on the podcast, like how many musicians are there that try to do what we're doing and have just either failed or gone into different jobs. Now, if you look at the number, I think we're used to seeing people around us who are doing doing the thing we're doing. So we're like, oh, it's just normal. But we're not looking at all the people who have gone into this career, tried it, had no success, and then gone to do something else.
Yeah.
It's like it's a very high number. We're very lucky, I think, very lucky and fortunate to have kind of sifted through and got through to this position.
Totally. Yeah, extremely lucky, man. But I just feel incredibly privileged.
Yeah, me too. 100%. Amazing. So when I think of you as well, I think of you as like a well-rounded musician in terms of like your knowledge of everything and also the capability to arrange and play the trumpet at a very high level.
Thank you, man.
Have you felt like different parts of your musicianship have taken precedent or kind of gone above? Or do you think that you've tried to work on all aspects of it?
Whoa, what question. Yeah. I think the first thing to say is, it's probably stating the obvious, but I just love music.
Yeah.
Like, I just love music so much. And I think I was very lucky in the way that I grew up around music. I had parents that supported my music, no question, but they weren't the kind of parents that were also like hothousing me or like supervising my practice or anything like that. You know, I got the impression they were just like, well, he seems to be getting on with this. Right. So whilst he's getting on with this, we'll support it. But if he finds it's not for him, that's fine. He'll get into something else and, you know, we'll support him doing that, you know. And I think that's what that gave for me was that I always had autonomy and agency about my music learning. Mm-hmm. It wasn't something that was thrust upon me. And I think we all know people who were musicians who were working at the highest level. I mean, elite musicians can sight read anything, virtuosos on their instrument. Yeah. But maybe they went to one of these schools like Chetham's, Wells Cathedral, Purcell School, or they just had like very like on it parents, pushy parents or whatever. And it's funny now, they're kind of in their 30s, having got to this elite level and committed so many hours, just being like, do you know what? I'm only now just reflecting, is this for me? Yeah. Do you see what I mean? Yeah, Whereas like, for me, it was always from here. I just loved music. It just spoke to me on such a deep, almost spiritual level, if you want to go there. You know, like deep existential fulfillment. And, you know, I could go into, I've reflected on kind of why is that? And I think one of the reasons is it's kind of inherent in academia now. There's a bit of a buzzword of like, or in art world as well, like cross-disciplinary. Okay. Anything that's if you're a cross-disciplinary artist or your research in academia is cross-disciplinary, you know, you get all the funding or whatever. But
what does that mean?
I guess it's like if you're bringing together theatre and geography or something, and you do your PhD about like urban development in fucking Timbuktu, and you do it as a one-man show at an art centre in Wigan. You know, it's like, you know, that's what I'm kind of the thing boxes, I'm kind of talking about here, you know. Sounds like I'm being dismissive of the, you know, academia, which I'm not. But I'm just saying, yeah, whatever. That's what cross-disciplinary would be, I guess. But I think music's just inherently cross-disciplinary. It's like there's times when, and you're thinking about, I don't know, rhythmic subdivision or harmony where it's quite mathematical. There's times when you're thinking about harmony and, say, timbre, where you're having to think about physics and waveforms, like in the harmonic series and stuff. There's times when you're learning, jazz and you're thinking about vocabulary, which is kind of like linguistics sometimes, syntax, phrase endings, phrase lengths, commas, like punctuation almost. There's the kind of notation side of it. There's like, of course, learning the history of the music. And that involves learning history. It involves geography. Where is this music from? Migration of populations, diasporas, politics. What's the social, political context of a music? All of that stuff. It just brings together all these things. And as I say, the thrill for me is just being part of a community. I was fortunate enough. I grew up in a town called Darlington, and it was in the northeast of England. And it's right at the heart of that Northern Brass Band thing, which I don't know if your listeners would know about that. Maybe it's worth taking a minute to talk about that. But basically, Britain used to produce its own coal when there was all these coal mines, most of them in the north, and but some in Wales, shout out Wales, some in the southwest as well, I think. And the workers were really organised, and they pulled together a lot of their income. They would build like creches and leisure centres, and they'd decide, maybe we should. They weren't just thinking about their work; they were thinking about their leisure time as well. So they're thinking, we don't live to work; we work to live. And what does that life look like? And so they'd pull their wages together and get painting lessons or get poetry lessons, and they were like, maybe we want to learn music. And I guess for various reasons, the brass bands really took off. I guess because they're doing hard manual labour, picking up rocks, so probably the precision required to play a violin or something's probably not going to fly. Whereas a chunky brass instrument with 3 clunky valves is a bit more on the level. So it really took off. And then, you can imagine one coal mine has a band, and then the other pit next door's like, oh God, that looks like fun. Maybe we want a bit of that, And then the one next door, and so on. It spreads, and then they start having these meets where they play for each other. They start having these competitions, and then it turned into this elaborate pyramid league system like we have in football, where you have promotion and relegation. Like the Champions League and the Premier League and the Championship and stuff. There's the Championship section, the first section, the second section, the third section, and you get promoted and relegated based on how you perform in these competitions. Incredible scene. And even though the mines were all shut down, I guess as I was a small child, the brass bands continue as this kind of vestige of that kind of workers' movement. Anyhow, Darlington wasn't a pit town, but it was surrounded by pit towns in North Yorkshire and Durham and whatnot. So there was a lot of ex-miners there, and there was just a real culture of brass playing. So everyone got free brass lessons and a free brass band. I just owe my whole life to these people, man, and to that infrastructure that left behind. So I'm so grateful about it, and I like to keep my toe in that scene. I played at Durham Miners Gala earlier this year. I just did a thing in Rotherham with Maltby Miners Brass Band, a little commission. Anyhow, it's a beautiful thing. And why did I bring that up?
Because that's where you got into.
Yeah. So that's how I got into the trumpet. What
kind of music are they playing? They're playing British stuff from British composers.
No, look, great question. A lot of hymns, which are like British hymns. Things like "Abide by Me" and all that stuff. So we'd always warm up with hymns, from this hymn book, beautiful. Which it's kind of all the principles of kind of common practice harmony, voice nice, voice leading, suspensions, resolutions. All that was probably just going into my head at that time, and I always loved that sound of when people from certain other, who are familiar with other musical traditions, maybe think of trumpet and trombones as loud, almost obnoxious instruments. But I always love chorale, brass chorales and stuff, because I'm it's just a sound my ear goes to, and I think it's because of that background. So yeah, basically hymns and like marches. Yeah, so it's funny. It's a classical upbringing in the sense that you're reading notation and you're like, you know, trying to play in tune and playing with vibrato and playing accurately and stuff. But it's not, the repertoire is not Mahler, Beethoven,
right.
Mozart. It's not like the European classical tradition, you know. So that was a bit of a gap in my knowledge until, I mean, I still feel like I'm a bit weak on kind of orchestral repertoire, which is kind of hilarious because it's kind of the world I've ended up occupying. Yeah, I mean, that came a bit later in my life, but yeah, it was just a great thing. And then I get into, I guess maybe I was like 10, 11, when you start to, you know, develop your own taste in music that's independent to that of your parents and your teachers. And maybe that happens earlier now with just access to the whole world through the internet. But it was a bit harder for us, you know. But it was like, you know, you have to save up your pocket money for
CDs.
You know, for CDs and whatnot. But you know, like you're at school.
Do you remember all the first CDs you got?
I do. I remember the first. My mum and dad, I guess, bought me like a CD, like a little small portable CD player, Walkman thing. And it came with, they bought me 2 CDs, which was The Cause Unplugged.
Nice.
And Fat Boy Slim.
I had that one with the fat guy on the front.
Yeah. It's called, it's called You've Come a Long, Long Way, Baby.
Right.
That was the name of the album. But his shirt says like, I'm number one, so why try harder? Anyhow, great record. That is just such a great record. It's funny.
The breaks in that, the break beats. I still listen to that and just think like, that is such a big influence on the way I write music now.
Heavy.
Those sampling and the kind of like the dirtiness of the breaks and everything in it. I'm like, that's where a lot of the sound in my head is coming from with that album.
I still don't know how he makes that stuff. I mean, it's just bonkers, but yeah, it's deep. Like, where did all the string samples from Right Here, Right Now come from? Like, that's just beautiful. And the way it's all assembled, it's just incredible. And all the cool, like, vocal samples, where did they come from?
Yeah.
I don't know, it's weird. Like, with a lot of hip-hop stuff, I know where the samples have come from, you know.
A lot of crate digging, maybe.
Yeah,
I guess
so.
Like Jay Dilla and stuff, how much crate digging they did for like old jazz records and stuff.
Totally.
Like, I wonder if he was just exactly the same down in...
Yeah, I guess so, but it's not the obvious stuff. It wasn't like, with Dilla and people, you know, it's like, all right, that's the Isley Brothers sample. Anyhow, whatever. With Fatboy Slim, I still don't know where some of those samples came from. Anyhow, great. And also, it was the first time I remember hearing like time stretching, you know, on Rockefeller Skank, where it's like, right about now, Fox your brother. And I was just like, what the hell is this? It's just completely insane. Anyhow, that was the first records that I had. And then the first one I bought with my own money, this is quite hip, I'm quite proud of this, was Rage Against the Machine, Battle of Los Angeles, which is just a banging record. It just sounds amazing. The playing's incredible. Yeah. Like Tom Morello just sounded absolutely bonkers. Yeah. So yeah, man, they were the kind of early things. But, you know, I was listening to all sorts, like hip-hop. You know, I had friends who were into hip-hop.
My first love.
Drum and bass. I had people playing me like Ronnie Scotts and just like, what the hell is this? I love this. Shy Effects, all of that. But I guess there was this other music that spoke to me, which was jazz. And I guess part of the reason was that I'd hear like Miles and Lee Morgan and all these people and Chet Baker and be like, oh, I play that instrument. Yeah. You know, maybe I can engage with this music. Whereas like I listen to Tribe Called Quest and I'm like, I'm not going to start rapping like that. You know, it's just like so over my head and like, you know, not.
I can see you in a rap troupe.
Oh yeah, mate, yeah, madness. That would be, yeah. I don't think anyone wants to see that, but yeah, I mean, it was. So I kind of, you know, naively, I'm like, oh yeah, you know, how hard could it be? Yeah. But it just set in motion this desire to like understand what the hell was going on in the music.
Because a big band scene right up there as well.
Yeah, no, you're right. But again, you were very precise with what you said there. Great big band scene. And again, Durham County Music Service, owe my entire life to them. Absolutely love to those people, but to that organisation. But and they had a great youth big band. Yeah. And it was just an unbelievable time to be growing up in Darlington. They even rehearsed in Darlington, so it was like I didn't even have to get a bus or anything. It was on my doorstep. And anyhow, but yeah, we were playing big band charts, great. You know, I was getting into ensemble playing and just hearing what a big band sounds like. But when it got to came to improvisation, I mean, I even remember we had this arrangement of Invitation, which is really one of my favourite jazz standards. But my God, it's not easy.
It's a roast.
It's not easy, you know.
Even the melody.
Yeah. But the B section. I remember just taking it to the band leader, who's an outstanding brass player. I mean, the level of brass playing up there is just outrageous. I mean, I've been a professional trumpet player in London for 15 years, more than that. I go up to Darlington. I don't think I'm in the top 100. And this is a town of 100,000 people. I'm not in the top 100, technique brass players.
Right.
Nowhere near. I went up there recently and went to a band room with an old trumpet teacher who'd inherited some trumpets and cornets from an old friend. He was like, "Oh, Matt, we'll go to the band room and we'll play them and see if you get on with them and you can take one down to London with you." Anyhow, whatever. And he brought out some duets. He was like, "Oh God, let's read some duets down." We just had to give up because I was just like, "I can't keep up, man. Can we slow the tempo down?" Anyhow, so whatever. I mean, it's a very high level at brass playing, but the person I'm talking about, I don't want to talk ill of this person, but will be the first to admit he didn't know how to play over those changes. He's just like, you're on your own there, lad. So I'm sat there like, oh my God, what's F sharp 7, sharp 9, flat 5. What? What scale do I play over that? What does that even mean? What's a sharp 9? That's bonkers to me. And so the whole thing was crazy. And of course, it's before YouTube. Now you just YouTube how to play it over Invitation, and there's probably 20 videos. Yeah, I mean maybe 15 of them are shite, but there'll be a couple of them, and anyhow, whatever. And also, but look, there was other resources there, but I didn't know about them. I didn't know about the Mark Levine Jazz Theory book. I didn't know about Jamie Aebersold's. Whatever you think about those things, I mean, I'm not uncritical. In fact, I'm quite critical of a lot of those things, but I didn't have. It was hard to find a way in, but in another way, it was good. Right. Because it meant that my only reference for the music was the records. Right. So the only way, I just realised very quickly, the only way I'm going to learn how to play this music is by listening to the records. Really focus on the records. And then I got an absolute blessing because I think it was part of Durham Brass Festival, they brought up a legendary trumpet player, a guy from New Orleans called Abraham Wilson, who'd moved to London. I think he'd initially wanted to move to Paris because he loved Quincy and he'd heard that, Quincy had moved to Paris to study with Nadia Boulanger or whatever. And but anyhow, so I think he moved to Paris initially, ended up in London. Amazing guy, and was part of that whole June Records, Jazz Jamaica scene. With Gary Crosby, another legend. I've got to shout out all these amazing educators. Anyhow, but I mean, they're just an amazing institution, like Tomorrow's Warriors, all that stuff, and they're just super serious about outreach and getting as many people participating in this stuff as possible. And part of that was coming to areas like the area I grew up, which they recognised was lacking in access to specifically understand jazz, is it improvised small band jazz, and they did these outreach projects with the youth big band, and I got to hear Abraham, and that was the first time I heard someone actually play language. Yeah, and I remember he played this arrangement of Invitation with us. We played it, and it was my solo, but I went, Abraham, I want you to play on it so I can hear you play it. And I was like, oh my God. Well, I was like, how did you do that? He's like, they're just 2-5-1s, man. I'm like, what's a 2-5-1? You know, that's how clueless I was. And this was like, I was maybe like 17, 18 at this point. You know, this is like, a lot of people knew all this when they were 11 and had already started working on it. So I was a bit late to the party. But he just said a few things about that, like about harmony, he told me to check out Clifford Brown, who I'd not checked out until that point. He told me to transcribe.
Yeah.
Now, I didn't know why to transcribe or what to do with a transcription once you've done it. So I just went and I was like, all right, what's my favorite record? Which at the time was Miles Ahead, still one of my favorite records. Miles Davis, arrangements by Gil Evans, unbelievable record. And I just transcribed every solo that Miles plays on that record. But in hindsight, that's kind of, I mean, I'm not saying I got nothing out of that exercise. Of course I did, if not just knowing that I can do that. But it was, you know, Miles in that period is not really like, he's not playing like language.
Yeah,
you know, he's not playing like enclosures and altered licks.
Super
and stuff.
melodic, right?
It's super, yeah, he's I mean, it's in that modal thing is round the corner. You know, I think that record's 1957. So the year later, he's doing Milestones, which has the track Milestones, you know, and then obviously kind of blew the year later. So he's at that time searching for something else. So whatever. But look, his sound, his phrasing, and I'd play along to my transcriptions. That's another thing, again, you know, I was reading, I wrote it all out and I was reading along, which, you know, is maybe not the most optimal way to like internalize a transcription, but whatever, you know, it was just trying to figure it out. And it set me on a path and it got me to a level that I was good enough to get into Leeds Conservatoire. Nice. Or Leeds College of Music as it was then, but which has a really fantastic jazz course. And that finally, when I just remember arriving to Leeds, just being so up for it, man, like just up for the course, you know. All of that uni bollocks, like, I'd kind of got all that out of my system at sixth form college, you know. You know, I was quite naughty at school, you know. Right. I want to send an apology to, if any of my teachers are listening, you know, from Hummer's Not Comprehensive, like, bless you guys, man. You know, but when I got to Leeds, I was just like, right, no messing around now. Let's get into it. Like, let's get into it. And was just so hungry for knowledge. And
who did you have lessons with at Leeds then?
Well, I mean, there was this trumpet teacher called Simon Barnes who was a great lead player. It was less the trumpet lessons that I had and more the other lessons I was getting, the arranging lessons by this great guy called Trevor Vincent, composition lessons in my third year with this guy, Graham Hearn, who was just genius. And he really expanded my horizons. You know, he was just knew all about like Debussy and Monk and Gill and like Stockhausen and just all this other stuff that I hadn't even thought about, was not even on my radar, but was like such important stuff, and like had it all internalized. You know, could just play anything from any orchestral repertoire. I just play it on the piano. Like, it's like, what? I just couldn't believe what was around. You know, he's from a different generation of just insane musicians, and he was just unbelievable, and that was so inspiring. He was also very encouraging. Great big band scene there. Learned a lot of stuff about like Cuban music from a violinist called Omar Puente.
Oh, amazing.
Taught at Trinity as well. Yeah, man. So yeah, it was just, the whole thing was fantastic, and again, community. You know, just being part of a community of people who were living and breathing it day in, day out. Yeah. You know, I just wake up and I just want to practice and want to transcribe and want to do some ear training exercise or want to do an arrangement. And then in the evening, if I'm doing something recreational, I'm going to a gig. I'm going to a jam, you know, just checking stuff out. And had a really, really great time, man.
Amazing. There are venues in Leeds. What are the venues like in Leeds?
Oh, man, I mean, yeah, great. I mean, there was, you know, I remember early days going to this venue called The Wardrobe that's still around. great like basement venue, and there used to be a night I think it was every Monday night. There'd be a jazz jam upstairs, and then downstairs there's like a soul night, you know, where there'd be like Tower of Power tribute bands. So that was my first encounter with like horn section stuff.
Yeah.
Which, you know, people it might be like, what's that mean? Is big band a horn section thing? I guess it is, but really I'm talking like pop kind of thing. Groove, smaller sections, kind of like 2, 3, 4. I guess when you get into Fela Kuti, maybe 5 or 6 horns, but you know, it's that kind of thing. And you get it in Afrobeat, you get it in Motown, you get it in all that MJ, Shaka Khan stuff.
Modern pop stuff as well.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you hear it everywhere. I mean, like Mark Ronson stuff. Even indie bands you hear have got tunes with horn sections in, like Bombay Bicycle Club, all that stuff. So it's everywhere, and thank God for us, right? You know, it's like working horn players. I mean, it's just I'm just so glad. Again, you know, I didn't pick the trumpet. You know, the trumpet chose me, or initially the cornet. You know, just because I lived in the Northeast and there was that brass band scene. But I could have ended up playing, you know, another instrument. I don't want to trash an instrument here, but like for example, like the oboe is one of my favorite instruments. I love the oboe. So my favorite moments in orchestral music is when the oboe's playing a melody. It's just got the capacity to be so lyrical and beautiful, but it's in orchestras. And wind quintets. I mean, and which I don't see all the time anyhow.
No.
And
people stay in those jobs for years and years and years and years.
And I know really excellent young oboists who are just sat there like,
what the fuck?
I've got to work a job, you know, and they're way beyond my ability on the trumpet on their instrument. You know, I mean, they're just way beyond, you know, and they're way more committed. I mean, I've got to tell you, I am, and I'm not just being false modesty, I am bang average on the trumpet. I say this not to invite, no matter. I think the scene in London is bonkers. You know, cats, you know, we could name them. You know, Walsh, Corpus, Laura Jurd, like Alex Ridout, like Mark Kavuma, all these people who are like elite players and have something to say and all that stuff. And like, don't get me wrong, I love the trumpet, but I just haven't put in the hours that a lot of those people have. And as I say, I don't want to make excuses for myself. You know, maybe I came to it a bit late, but also I've just got other interests, you know, conducting stuff, arranging stuff. But I think one thing I had going for me was like, you know, I mean, for example, when I moved to London, I never thought I'd be working as a trumpet player because all the players I knew down here were just like crazy. And I was like, God, if that's the level, I haven't got a chance down here. So when I came to Trinity, I came to study composition. Like, and kind of like classical composition. You know? So I kind of like re-identified myself. I was like, no, I'm a composer. You know, that's like when I was at Trinity, if anyone asked. Were
you still shedding the trumpet at the same time?
Not really.
Not really.
No, I mean, I've got to be honest, for 2 years, my trumpet playing was, you know, not doing super good, you know, but like whatever, it was what it was. But I still got booked on gigs. I honestly think people just book me because they like having me around. I'm not even joking, man. And you know, so Matt's a bit of a laugh. You know, he likes a pint. And, but whatever, like. But I do think I will back myself in one sense. I think what worked for me was I listened to so much different music. You know. So I could be on a recording with a producer and I could hear the track and be like, I know what you want here, you know, in a way that some players I knew at Trinity, at the Royal Academy, whatever, elite players, like elite jazz musicians, just on a level that I will never get to in my lifetime. And at this time, they're like 20 years old or something. But maybe they were just so tunnel vision for like that thing. If someone asked them to play like a salsa thing or an Afrobeat thing or a mariachi thing or whatever, they can only do their thing. Whereas I could be like, okay, I'm not sure if I can do this, but I can try.
You've got a sound in your
I've
head.
got a sound in my head that I'll try my best to get to. And I think that alone got me the call back for a lot of work I was doing with producers back then. I still work with a lot of these guys. And so by the time I finished at Trinity, much to my surprise, I was doing it. Mm-hmm. I was like, nah, man, I don't need to move back to Leeds. I don't need to get a job.
Yeah. I think that's something that should be pushed more when people are at Trinity.
Yeah.
Is that like getting ready? Don't just do your fourth year, even your third and fourth years, because it's like a 4-year course that I did.
Yeah.
Or say if you're doing like a 2-year course, I think you should be trying to like already think about what work you can do when you leave.
Yeah.
I think just not thinking about that and expecting just to be at the end and be like, oh, I'm going to work now. Like I think there's definitely something to be said for just building up those contacts and building up something before you leave. Because I was like, what can happen is you can just be like dropping off a cliff.
Totally.
And then just that surprise of like, oh shit, I've got loads of bills. Yeah. And you're not going to be probably as playing as much as you were when you were at Trinity. So you've really got to kind of like think about what I'm going to do, get myself out there, speak to as many people as possible and just keep working at it. I think if you don't, then it's like, I saw several people just go like, oh fuck, what's going on? Because so much of their life was the university as well.
Totally.
Because it had been for the last 4 years.
I think it's difficult. I mean, because I agree with you, but for me, it was never a conscious decision.
Right.
I was just out in the community because what the hell am I doing there otherwise? You know, I'm there I'd moved to London. Why am I paying? Why have I doubled my rent? Why have I like whatever? I'm there to go to, you know, Charlie Wright's and the Vortex every night.
Yeah.
You know, I'm there to like check out Kit Downs' new project, you know, before anyone else hears it, before it gets recorded. I'm there to like go to Ronnie's and just lurk and like hear Alex Garnett like play back to back with George Garzon, you know, who's just done the men's show, and like hear what tunes they're playing. And
that was a mad masterclass for Trinity. I just
wow.
As you said that, George Garzon talking about all that like very kind of like, I don't even know, chromatic playing over any chord.
Oh, wow.
And him just going into that and me just sitting there just like, you know, your brain just kind of goes thinking this could take your whole life to try and master that, and the speed of thought and the sound in your head of that like intricate modal playing.
Oh, it's bonkers, man.
Yeah, it's crazy.
There's this great video on YouTube called A Tenor Supreme, and it's a lot of tenor players playing impressions, and it's him, Liebman, Joshua Redman, oh God, who else? Brecker.
Right.
It's just carnage, man. And in the background, it's like fucking Jack DeJohnette on drums.
Wow.
On the double bass, it's funny. On the double bass, it's Christian McBride.
Right.
And then the camera's like hits the rhythm and says, "Oh, it's Christian McBride on bass killing." Pans back to like, you know, Liebman taking a blow, Garzon taking a blow. It pans back, and now Dave Holland's on bass. It's like, even Christian McBride had to like tap out. You know, it's just like it's 27 minutes in, and it's at like, you know, 300 BPM.
Yeah.
Anyway, whatever. Man, and Garzon sounds ridiculous on that recording. I mean, it's just
amazing teacher as well.
Really
incredible
man,
teacher.
I'd love to hang with Garzon, man. What a legend, yeah. But you know, that's what I was there to do. So for me, it was like it wasn't calculated. It wasn't a cynical, like, professional decision.
Right.
I'm going to do this because it's going to secure my living after I graduate. I was just, it's like, what are you doing otherwise? I mean, like, I don't know, man. Like, so I now teach at Trinity. Like, one of the biggest honours of, like, anything I do work-wise is to be teaching at that institution now, because, you know, I just got nothing but love for my memories that my experience there. My head of department's like fantastic, you know, deep thinker about music, about life, you know. Anyhow, whatever. About student experience critically. Anyhow, he. But I remember, you know what. I quite often, because of the work that I do, the arranging work I do, with kind of like recording artists like Georgia Smith, Becky Hill, Cleo Soul, like Ezra Collective, whatever. Like, you know, people are like, oh yeah, I'd love to do that. And I go, you know, how'd you get that gig kind of thing? You know, I'd love to like arrange strings for like pop artists or something.
Yeah.
And now Trinity's got a pop course, right?
Right.
And I'm like, name me one person on the pop course. Just one person.
Right.
They can't.
Yeah.
And I'm like, do you want to do this? Because like, it's right there.
Yeah.
You know, there's a course of people who write songs who might not know how to write for strings, and you do. Just go up to them and be like, like go to their gigs, see if you like their music.
Yeah.
And find someone who you like. Be like, man, I can really hear strings on this. Would you mind if I did you an arrangement? I also know players. I know string players. You know, we'll book the Trinity recording studio.
Yeah.
It's just like, let's go.
Yeah.
You know, let's not wait to be asked. You ain't gonna be asked.
No, I think it's that British sort of the British kind of like, oh, I don't know if I can do that. Don't know if I want to feel like I'm imposing on people. I think will be a sense of that as well.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. It's not about being a pain in the ass. You know, I think sometimes. Because it's not hustling. Again, it's not... If I was ever doing something like that, it was never like out of a kind of hustle culture thing. It was just like, I want to do it. I like music. You know, I'd hear a player and I'd be like, I want to write. Like hearing Julian Siegel.
Yeah.
I don't think
those are some of the mad lessons I had at Trinity. 3-4 hours on like augmented harmony.
Mental.
Just sitting there, just like...
Yeah. But like, hearing Julian Siegel just going, I have to write something for this guy, you know, and it's just like, it's not, it's just like a compulsion. Like, it's just like, what's the point? Like hearing Laura Jurd, like Laura Jurd was 18 years old, sounding fucking ridiculous. And it was just like, I just want to be around her scene with Elliot and Connor and Corey Dick. I just had to be around it.
Yeah.
You know, just at every gig, you know, soaking it up in the cafe, walking over to him, chatting to him in the cafe. Again, it's not, you have to ask them. They'd be like, oh yeah, Matt was a pain in the ass at that time. But like, I hope to think it wasn't that. I hope to think we were like in a thing together, you know, and just like, I don't know. You're just, in fact, there was a beautiful Laura Jurd interview where she says something really, really beautiful that I wrote down and used in one of my classes to my students. Something along the lines of, I'm paraphrasing, but when your musical community hijacks your imagination, that's when the real fun begins. When you hear Max Johnson play the alto sax, and you go, I want to start a horn section with him. You know, I want to do like a groove project with him. I want to do whatever. That's amazing. You know, and then you keep each other accountable as well. Like you know, so like I've started this project Boreal Sun, and I'm working with this outstanding vocalist called Lisa Lott Osblom, Swedish but based in London. And what's cool is, you know, we keep each other accountable. We're like, right, we've got to get a date in the diary, you know, to write the new tune or whatever, you know. When are we going to track these vocals? You know, it's kind of like leaning on each other, and then booking players, booking your mates, being like, who are we going to get to blow on this? I'm hearing whatever, Gareth Lecraine. It's got to be Gareth. We've got to, you know. And I'd never worked with Gareth, but I just messaged him, mate. Like, would you be up for playing on this thing? And I tell you what, the answer's never been no.
Yeah.
From when you ask these people, from that generation above us, or someone who's a bit above your pay grade, you know, you never get no.
Yeah.
You know, or I've never had no. I mean, and that's surprising to me. Like, I'd expect it. And even if I did get it every now and then, you know, that's all good. But like, everyone's busy and stuff. But like, they're always up for it. People are up for it.
Yeah.
I think that's maybe...
It's the thing in your head, isn't it? I think that's the thing. There's a theme here of you asking and not even thinking about, oh, well, what if they didn't say no? Because I think a lot of people do think like that. So I think there's definitely a theme of just go for it. It's similar to what you're saying about the John Paul Jones thing, right? Just go for it. And what's really the worst that could happen? They could just say no. You go, okay, I'll just ask someone else.
Totally, yeah.
And just going for it and having that confidence, not thinking too much about it. And music and passion is first before anything else.
Yeah, man. I mean, like, maybe it's because I always was... honestly, my feeling, even now with music, it's just, I'm just happy to be here, man.
Yeah.
You know, I'd just be on some gig and I'm just like... yeah, man. You know, just wait.
Yeah.
Because it's so beyond what I ever really thought was my life was going to be like. You know? I mean, like, you know, again, like, I remember my mum. I'm telling you this because I think this is excellent parenting. But I remember, you know, my mum once said to me, like, you know, Matt, we support your music 100%. But, you know, just be aware that one day it might not work out. You know, you got to get a job in Sainsbury's or whatever. You know, and honestly, I think that's elite parenting because I know people who had the opposite. I know people who were told by their parents, you can do anything you want, achieve anything you want, you know, this, that, and the other. And then they're like, and obviously that's bullshit, you know, I mean, you're at the mercy of the market, I guess. I mean, that's the thing, you know, maybe the thing you want to do, there's no market for it. You know, you can't make that work. You know,
there's so many factors, right? There's
so
many
many
factors working against you.
It's just crazy, yeah. And so for me, but you know, that was in my mind. And really when I went to music college to study music, my aspirations were that I'd finish that undergrad, I'd do PGCE, and I'd have a job like my music teacher, you know, Mr. Franklin. You know, I'd have Mr. Franklin's job, a job like that. You know, that was like always my goal. And I committed so much to that undergraduate at Leeds that I just thought, the idea of going into another year of education I was like, no, I kind of need some time to like digest all these ideas. Because that's the thing. I mean, I'm sure you feel the same, but you go to these institutions and I mean, let me tell you, the first week of Leeds, there was this guy, this guitarist teacher who had a few of us in the room. It was like a seminar size, maybe like, I don't know, 12 people. And he's going, right, guys, let me just to kick things off. And bear in mind, I'm like wet behind the ears. I'm pretty green. I don't know really a lot about jazz education, jazz pedagogy. Yeah. And he just goes, okay, so here's what I think, just the basic foundations you need to like play this music. So you need to know, firstly, let's just deal with scales. You know, you need to know all the 4 asymmetric scales, you know, major, harmonic minor, melodic minor, melodic major, harmonic major. And all their modes. So right off the bat, that's like 4 times 7 scales. All right, okay. And of course, you're like the common modes of limited transposition, the whole tone scale, the diminished scale, half whole, whole half, the augmented scale, you know, the one that's like minor third semitone. Anyhow, okay, I'm like, okay, you know, that's
get to like 100 scales.
Yeah, so we're like probably already over 100 scales in all 12 keys, of course. Yeah. You know, so I mean, what are we talking? Oh my God. I'm like, okay, you know, that's pretty daunting, but that's doable. And then you need to be able to ascend all of these scales in every diatonic interval. Ascend and descend, so like a third would be do 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 do, and then fourths, boo 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 boo, like right, fifths, sixths, sevenths, which is a trumpet player. You're also just like, it's just bananas. But I arrived at college with this mentality: if I'm going to do everything they tell me to. Yeah. You know, and so I'm sat there like, oh, shit. And then he was like, you need to arpeggiate every 7th chord in all of these scales. So like, do 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 do. Just chord 1, chord 2, chord 3, chord 4, chord 5. Anyhow, of all these scales in every key, I'm like, oh my God. Then you need to like approach all of these chords by a semitone, ba-da, 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 a scale step above, a scale step above, semitone below, other way around, and I'm just like, oh my God, oh yeah, and pentatonics, and then we get into that whole thing, and I'm just like, oh my God. Second, and he said, look, if this is daunting to you, just know this: if you commit like an hour a day to this, you'll probably have it done after about 6 years. Yeah. And I'm just like, this undergrad's 3 years. And then I go, you know, that same week, Dave Liebman came to college and did a workshop. And in the workshop, he starts the workshop and he says, okay, guys, hands up if you transcribe. And I proudly am like, because that's one thing that I had, you know, that like had been told to me by Abraham Wilson, you know, transcribe. And I transcribed these mild solos. Yeah. I transcribed some other stuff, you know, like I transcribed Freddie's solo.
How many people put the hand up, do you reckon?
Sorry?
How many people put the hand up, do you reckon?
Oh, almost a room full, I'd say, yeah. And anyhow, so everyone puts their hands up. Right, okay. And he goes, right, let me tell you what I think constitutes doing a transcription. Right. So he talks about doing the transcription. He talks about like internalizing it. He's like, don't write it down at first. You know, so can you sing it? Can you, can you play it on your instrument? He was talking about putting trance solos in all 12, which I was like, wow. Then he was on about like, he was like, you got to research, you got to read their biography and autobiography. What year was this? What was happening in their life?
Yeah.
Like, what was their marriage like at the time? What was the social political like environment in America at that time? Where did they grow up? Are they from Philadelphia?
Yeah.
You know, who else is from Philadelphia? Okay, you know, maybe there's a Philly thing. You know, anyhow, whatever. Then he was on about like, all right, is it a rhythm changes? Okay, you're going to get every 1-6-2-5 thing they play. You're going to put it all categorized. You're going to mark it all out of 10, all of them out of 10. Oh yeah, I like this one. Yeah, let's keen on this one or whatever. And maybe something's a bit more gestural, whatever. Okay, and he's like, pick the ones you like, and then you write like 5 variations on those things. You know, whatever, all this stuff. Then he did this mad thing where he got the Freddie Freeloader solo by Miles Davis.
Yeah.
And he sings it. And while he's singing it, he's playing it on a hi-fi. And while he's singing it, he turns the volume down. Right? Down and down and down till it's off.
Yeah.
And he keeps singing the solo, right, for a few seconds, I don't know, 20, 30 seconds.
Yeah.
And then in the middle of a line, he turns the hi-fi back up and he's still in time.
Wow.
And I'm just like, oh my God. Then he brought he's like, I brought my student up from London. I'd love to know who this guy was.
Yeah.
I mean, this was about 2005. So if anyone watching happened to be this tenor player.
Yeah.
And he brought this guy up and he was like, you know, he's going to do it. He's just took down Sonny Rollins' solo on Eternal Triangle or something. And he's like playing to this thing. And then in the middle of the solo, like Liebman's just like.
Singing or playing tenor?
Playing tenor.
Nice.
He just turns it off.
Yeah.
And then turns it back on again, and the guy's still in time.
Okay.
And I'm just sat there like, this is bonkers.
Yeah.
And then
the in-depthness is just another level.
Oh, it's crazy. And he goes, look, the first one you're going to do is going to be a blues. The second one you're going to do is going to be a rhythm changes. The third one you're going to do is going to be someone who doesn't play your instrument.
Right.
Right. So a different instrument. And he had this whole thing, and he's basically, I think he said, you've got to do 6 of these. And I think he recommended, I don't know, 1 a year or 2 a year or something.
Right.
And he was like, so whatever, 6 years. He's like, this is like a 6-year gig, you know. And then at the end of that begins another journey.
Wow.
Which is to find, what am I going to contribute to this music? But you can't even approach that until you've gone through this thing.
Right.
And then at the end of the class, he says, now put your hands up if you transcribe.
You're like,
and we're all like, oh.
I remember him playing drums a lot.
Oh yeah, he
That's
loves
one
that.
thing.
He has, yeah. I mean,
just me and him. Like I remember just play. He was like, pick me out, and he's like, I think we just played There'll Never Be Another You, and he was just slashing the drum kit up.
Yeah,
he's like, you need to learn like another instrument as well, and get like really into it. And then he showed us a video of Brecker playing drums. It's like outrageous. Crazy. He's like, the level of time you need to have, you know, to be proficient at this and to feel comfortable on all meters and stuff. You need to start playing the drums.
Yeah.
So I started like shedding the drums after that. And just because that's really good for composition as well, I found. Especially if you're making drum beats and stuff. Just playing along on a drum kit is like an amazing thing. Like I used to play along with like Slum Village and stuff. Just playing along on drums and just getting a feel for where they're putting kick drums and the level of swing. That really helps with like composition and making beats.
Yeah.
Because then your brain starts to think in that kind of metric way and you're not really thinking about pitch. But yeah, he was just going on about a lot of stuff about just shedding the drums as much as possible.
Mate, have you seen the video of Shaka Khan playing drums?
No, I've heard about this though.
She's absolutely burning.
Killing it.
Yeah, she's amazing. So yeah, no, that's a big one for sure. I remember
and Stevie as well, obviously ridiculous.
Yeah,
all instruments.
But like, I remember Will Vincent talking about how, you know, he was doing gigs and he'd play a solo and he's like, you know, the rhythm section are cooking. But the second I stop playing a solo and go off and watch the piano solo or something, all of a sudden they're like looking at each other, they're smiling, they're grinning, they're like kind of doing rhythmic
I
shit.
remember feeling like that a lot.
And I was just like, why don't they do that when I'm playing?
Yeah.
And he concluded, maybe it's because I've got shit time.
Yeah.
And he was like, all right, how am I going to work on my time? And he was like, I'm going to learn to be a bass. Who's got good time? Bass players.
It's Orlando Fleming, wasn't it?
Well,
he lived with it at the time, right?
Right, no idea, yeah. But he was like, because I had no idea what this gig was, but he was on. But he was like, right, I'm just going to practice bass lines. Yeah, just walking, crotches. You know, how hard can it be? So he gets whatever standard he's playing. You know, there will be never be another you. Puts a metronome on, and he plays, and he records himself.
Yeah.
And he's listening back to it, and he goes, you know, like kind of appraising himself. Yeah, you know, I wasn't bad. You know, he's like, I was good, like, I don't know, like 95% of the time.
Yeah.
And he goes, hang on, would I want to play with a bass player who was good 95% of the time?
Yeah.
And he just realized, oh shit, no. Like bass players are perfect. That's the gig. You just have to be rock solid. Time, the way their harmonies outlined.
Yeah.
You know, it just
It's the
sounds,
backbone, isn't it?
Yeah, and he just went, shit. And then that was just a thing that unlocked it for him. But he had to embody another instrument. I don't think he actually learnt the bass guitar or upright bass, but just embodying that role in the music unlocked a thing in his alto playing and his soloing.
Yeah, he's got some of the best time.
Yeah, wouldn't have been unlocked otherwise.
Yeah, I think holding yourself accountable to a different standard as well. Yeah, that's really important. I tried that for a while. It's fucking hard.
Oh, it's really hard, yeah.
Just like, because I had a few lessons with him, and yeah, just listening back to yourself just playing crotchets. It's very eye-opening. It's not playing all the like kind of magical shit that you kind of hear in your head, just literally just playing crotchets. And on an instrument that's not, because obviously the bass has got that kind of reverberation, having to play it on an instrument that doesn't naturally have that and still have the same kind of like tone and sound and time was very, very eye-opening, I think.
Oh, yeah.
I gave up after a couple of sessions.
My music is going to be whooping our ass until we are dead.
Yeah,
I mean,
100%.
like, I had a play the other day with a great tenor player called Matt Anderson. And he was like, we're playing along to like some backing track app. And he was like, let's get rid of this shit. You know, let's just play to a metronome. I was like, cool. And so I set the metronome up for 2 and 4. He's like, let's play it just on 4.
Yeah.
All right, okay, I can do that. And we're doing it, and it's cool. Then he goes, all right, keep the metronome where it is, but now the metronome's the and of 4.
Right.
And bro, it's so hard.
That sounds mental.
You know, it's like, oh my, and I was pissing myself laughing because I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
I was nowhere near it. And I was like, oh my God. Anyhow, he gave me some really cool ways of kind of unlocking it a little bit. And started to like work on it. And then the next thing was like, all right, the next one is the and of 2.
Right.
If you can do and of 4, the next hardest is and of 2. So let's try and working on that. Then the next one is and of 1, and of 3. And then you start being like, all right, second triplet of 4, or, you know, or something like that. And or you could be like dotted crotchets, the metronome's dotted crotchets. And or it's 5 quavers. I mean, it's never ending. He can do all this, by the way.
Yeah.
And we were just laughing about it, just like, God, this never ends.
Yeah, it literally never ends. The school never ends.
Yeah, and I think you were talking about people who like drop out, who don't make it work. Mm-hmm. I think in a lot of cases, they were never in it for the right reasons. A lot of the way music's taught in this country is about like achievements and like getting your grade 8 and now you've completed music. Yeah. Fucking nonsense.
Never.
It is nonsense.
Yeah.
I think what music on this level does is it separates the people who were doing it for the pat on their back by their teacher or their parent, and the people that are doing it because they're actually like, I actually just really want to understand this music.
It's obsessed.
Obsessively. It's like it gives me like an existential fulfillment, you know.
100%.
And for some people that's sport or it's academia or it's art or something, I don't know, or cinema. But yeah, it's like for us, it's this music thing. And like, you know, I'm not, and the point is we're shit. I mean, like everyone's shit. That's what I love about it. I even said, you know, I was having this conversation with one of my students who was just feeling a bit, you know, down about certain holes in their musicianship, you know. Oh, my score reading isn't that good, and oh, my notation's bad, and this, that, and the other. But you know, they had other things that were amazing. And I just went, what, do you think I've got everything in my locker?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you think I can play, you know, count down with a metronome with dotted crotches? Are you kidding me? No way, you know. I mean, and basic shit. Like, you know, sometimes I'm like, can I even play in 6/8? You know, it's just like basic stuff. You just like really confront basic stuff, and you realize. I mean, you just talked about crotches. Yeah. You know, can I play crotches? Yeah. Damn, I thought that was like lesson 1, but apparently I can't. I mean, I tell you what's brutal when you get into recording yourself at home.
Oh, mate.
I mean, but you know, I watched the Louis Cole interview.
Yeah.
And he's talking about this, and he talks about that moment that it happens to all of us. You record yourself, and you literally see the grid, the logic grid, and then you see the waveform, and you go, what? and Louis Cole describes it as this. He says that's how much you suck. It's like you can objectively measure how much you suck. Yeah. And it's brutal.
It's very brutal.
And it could just be hitting a note on beat 1. Yeah. Think, fuck, I've done that a few times. I think I'd have the hang of it by now. Yeah. No. I mean, it never, ever stops. And I think you just have to be up for that. And I'm up for that.
I'm massively up for that.
Because I wasn't even in the top. I wasn't even one of the top musicians where I'm from, really. As I mentioned, you know, the level of brass playing. There was a friend of mine who was an outstanding flute player at school. Yeah, and this was just like a state school, like, but you know, just some great people around, you know, so I never thought, you know, I'm fucking better than everyone else. You know, I always just thought, fucking hell, you know, I can't, you know, my reading's not as good as Anis's, and you know, my double tonguing ain't as good as Chris's or whatever. You know, you just kind of always just kind of leveling with yourself. You know, just like appraisal. You know, and it can be brutal, but then also if you just accept that, like, oh, you know, there's maybe a few things they can't do that I can do. You know, like, and you just, I don't know, whatever, and who cares? Like, you know, we're just all on a journey. You know, I mean, how many people have you seen? I could name people, but like, you know, you first play with them, you go, oh, you know, 2 years later, I'm like, man,
who is this person?
What? And it's just bonkers. Yeah. So, and again, a lot of that is often because of accessibility to certain things. You know, maybe they're not there because they didn't have access to, you know, Abraham Wilson or Tomorrow's Warriors or Nigel or what have you. I think honestly, one of the biggest barriers is like geographical region. It's a bit of a lottery. And sure, you know, there's YouTube and stuff, but
as we were talking about Derby before,
right? Yeah,
being like a melting pot of amazing jazz musicians and just general musicians in general,
right? And but that's not random, is it?
No,
that's because there was a really great youth music service. Yeah, so you know, same with Norwich. I mean, all that Norwich scene,
ridiculous.
At the Wakefield scene, the Doncaster scene, you know, like Ruben, Matt Robinson.
Just takes one kind of big personality who's kind of bolshy enough. Well, and definitely in our instance, he was kind of bolshy enough to bring those people to that area. Right, and he was kind of like bolshy enough to like just take chances and be like, you can come and, you know, give those big masterclasses to people. And he was that particular right kind of character, that right kind of time. Brilliant. Quite charming, but like a big personality. People took him really seriously. Brilliant. And I think that made a big difference. Yeah, and also the thing of like playing as an ensemble, I think that's really important for students learning. I think a lot of students, I used to say this when I used to teach in London, it was like, don't let your only auditory feedback be yourself. Because if you do, after a while, I'm sure some people will be able to manage it, but I think for most people, after a while, you start to get bored of your sound. And you'll also start to get bored of the discrepancy between where you are and what your brain expects the sound to be like.
Oh, wow.
So I think really important for people to play in ensembles, and because obviously it's been a big part of your kind of musical journey and a big part of mine.
Massive.
Just playing and the big sense of community, and also just making music with other people is super important.
Totally. I mean, like, I do a lot of conducting now, and what's interesting is, often when I tell people, especially non-musicians, the first question is like, what does a conductor actually do?
Yeah.
Right. Because they're like, they're just flapping their arms around. But if they weren't there, would the orchestra still play?
Yeah.
I mean, in a lot of cases, the answer is yeah. You could do it if you had someone counting it off and someone bringing off a fermata, and a lot of smaller chamber works, the lead violinist can lead all that stuff. But I feel like 90% of what the role of the conductor is to run an efficient rehearsal, manage the rehearsal time, look at the arrangements and the compositions that you've got to get together in that 3-hour rehearsal, and go, that's going to read straight down. We'll just top and tail it. That one, that's got some corners. That's going to be difficult. Okay, I'll need 20 minutes on that.
Yeah.
This and the other. Managing that time, and then listening. Going, okay, guys, the articulation is not quite homogeneous here. We need to kind of dial that in, and note lengths aren't quite right here. And could we make a bit more of this piano here? Maybe market pianissimo, whatever. You start dialing into that. All of that stuff I learned in my youth big band.
Yeah.
If I'm asking, what am I drawing from? What experience? What knowledge? Nothing I read in a book. It was all stuff I learned from a great big band and brass band, kind of conductor, leader, band leader, whatever. Just about, listening, getting the players to listen, dialing in precision of articulation and dynamics. And man, and I'm still drawing from that today. I'm dining out on that today. I didn't learn that really at Trinity and at Leeds, kind of especially not at Trinity, because at Trinity, I wasn't there as a player, so I wasn't playing in a lot of ensembles. But I mean, it's quite interesting, all of that stuff. But again, just so much gratitude for Durham County Youth Music Service. For you, it's East Midlands Jazz Orchestra.
Yeah. Woo! Incredible.
And the Norwich scene, there was some guy, and like someone like Lewis Wright, Ben Brown. I think, did George Crowley come from that scene? Freddie, maybe? I'm not sure. I mean, just ridiculous. Then the Wakefield lot, Reuben Fowler, Matt Robinson, Rory Ingham.
Oh, nice.
I think, Ben Mallender, of course. We just owe these people so much, man.
Yeah.
Like what they've built. I mean, incredible.
I think you're right. Geographically, it's like, it can be a bit of a lottery, just finding those little pockets. And I guess people in London have people like Tomorrow's Warriors. Yeah. And obviously, Nijo was like a big thing.
Oh, London's mental.
Yeah.
I mean, and again, a lot of the time, it's just about visibility. It's just about hearing it. Like, before I met Abraham, I was listening. I'd heard Miles Davis. So in theory, right, why don't I sound like Miles Davis? I've got all the tools I need, right? It's just his records. But the reality is, for me at least, I had to hear someone in front of me play, like swinging language, It was even just stuff like his vibrato. I was like, what the hell is that? Like, I literally was like, how do you do that?
Yeah.
You kind of have to be there and... it sounds like a hippie thing, but like almost like feel the air molecules around you vibrate, because that's what sound is. And you play. I guess that's happening when you play back a CD as well. But something just about it being in the room and like just feeling it, and then being able to ask them questions. Like, how do you do that? Like, and playing for them and being like, look, this is where I'm at. What do you suggest? Or you need to listen to this record. You need to practice this. You need to like do transcription, you need to like play with a metronome on 2 and 4, whatever it is, I mean, I look back at some of those times where I just might have had 5 minutes of someone's time. Yeah. Just after a gig, just chatting to them, and they just said something to me. and it just set me on a path
Yeah, it's just
because of who it came from and the wisdom that was behind it all.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like Abraham Wilson played in Roy Hargrove's big band before he moved over to the UK. So he's like had that access to Roy, who's like one of my heroes.
Yeah.
And like, and just so when he's talking when he was talking about Roy, it was from the weight of that experience.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, I don't know, I like, you know, work with these great string players on sessions that I'm involved with, that I'm conducting, often arranging for, and we're in the pub afterwards and I'm chatting to them. And some of these people have like toured with the LSO, with Simon Rattle, Antonio Papano. And so when they're giving me advice about fucking bowing, or like bow distribution, or sul tasto, or sul ponticello, or like I don't know, the politics of a string section, and, or like some repertoire, like I don't know. It's with all that weight on. It's like, oh my God, and we just get to eat it all up. Yeah. You know, it's like, you know, it's fucking brilliant. You know, I just again, community.
Yeah,
you massive. Know, when you chat to Tom Walsh about horn section playing, about lead trumpet playing, I mean, that guy's played and hung out with Jerry Hare, the guy who kind of like codified the modern horn section thing, and Walsh is kind of one of his like almost like proteges, you know. It's like, and so it's with that all that weight, you know. I mean, guys we know, you know, the Triple H horns guys, Pat Hayes. You know, I was working with him last week. He's working with Shaka Khan. Yeah, you know, he was just describing like, you know, playing some high note, you know, wow, the thing, and she's just there going, wow, like she's just like belting. It's just like fuck. Yeah, like that mental energy, like you and me have heard it on records, but we haven't been on stage making eye contact with her while it's happening. So it's like there's even, and that's quite abstract maybe, but just that. So when I talk to Pat now, and he's just a mate of mine, but like, fucking hell, man, you know, he's got that weight of experience when he's telling me about horn section writing or tuning or I don't know, like articulation or something. It's incredible. So they've
been so consistent, that horn section as well. Like when you think about them, like been for the last 10 years, they've been very. I was talking to him about it and just saying like, you're a big inspiration in what I'm doing at the moment. He's like, yeah, you just got to do as much stuff as possible and just be consistent. Yeah, and just try and pluck away at it as much as possible, and just be the person who just keeps putting stuff out. It's a very good piece of advice. I was like, okay, yeah, that's strong.
Yeah, and have a great trumpet player.
Yeah,
which they do and you do. I mean, Josh Short, my God. I mean, one thing that's just beautiful to see is, I mean, because I felt like my generation of trumpet players in London was just really special. Yeah, and I'm not including myself in there, you know, but like just cats my age that were like, you know, like Walsh, Laura Jerd, George Hogg, Freddie Gavita. Yeah, I guess so. He's a little bit younger than us, but yeah, absolutely in terms of the level, of course, and you just think, oh my God, and these are people now working at the highest level, world class musicians working with like, you know, top artists that will go down in history, you know, but the even more beautiful thing is seeing the younger generation coming through. And then you see, God, it's just consistent. Yeah. You know, we keep delivering. Like Josh Short, I mean, he's unbelievable.
Yeah, ridiculous.
He's an unbelievable trumpet player. And then there's this guy, Brinley, you know, it's just, you know, mad range, sound, can read anything. Man, I depped in this big band that this great drummer, band leader, arranger, composer called Finn Ganocki, who's just finished at Guildhall. You know, so like student. Was he like 22 then? You know, like, and while he's a student, he started this thing called the London Intercollegiate Jazz Orchestra.
I think you told me about this,
Mate. So he just like, he called me, he was like, you know, Matt, we've got this rehearsal with this big band. We're going to just be reading down some Maria Schneider stuff and some, you know, Jim McNeely stuff. And they're like two of my favourite composers. So I'm like, hell yeah. You know, like I'll drop anything to just play those dots, man. And they were sight reading that shit, and that's not music you sight read.
Yeah.
You know, I don't like. There's maybe some Maria Schneider charts you can sight read, but come on, man, the detail in the orchestration, you know, odd meters flying around, all kinds of stuff. You know, it's just not whatever. Like, it's just, some of it's just not readable. Like the way the orchestration's often grouped. You know, you got fucking alto flute in unison with harmon mute trumpet and bucket mute trombone and I don't know, fucking cor anglais or something. It's just a pianissimo dynamic.
Yeah.
You know, it's just very sensitive stuff. Anyhow, I turn up to this read through, and he's handing out the dots. So it's not like there's a pad and people have taken them home and shredded it. So I know that they're sight reading.
Yeah. And
I am operating at the absolute limit of my musicianship. I am like hanging by a thread. I'm hanging, but I am hanging by a thread. But these guys were just not breaking sweat.
Yeah.
And they're all of them. I didn't know any of them there. I knew one guy, Josh Elcock, great trumpet player.
Yeah.
He's from York. He studied at Scotland. Now he's down in London. Amazing player, amazing guy. But he was the only guy I knew. Everyone else I didn't know. And they sounded ridiculous. The section playing was amazing. The sight reading was mind-blowing. And then I'm sat there looking across at the guy next to me who's got these changes that I'm just like, and I think I've got a pretty good grasp of harmony.
Yeah.
I'm looking at those changes like, what the hell? I can't make sense of that.
Yeah.
And this guy just not only is playing the changes, but he's like expressing himself. He's got something to say. The solo had an arc and a narrative. And I was like,
he's 20.
What's going on? I just couldn't believe it, but it just made me so happy.
Yeah.
And then I'm chatting to them, and we've got the pub afterwards, and they're nerding out about recordings, and you know, maybe they've just gotten to know some of the recordings that we got to know at that time. And then they're turning me onto recordings that I haven't checked out. Oh, have you seen this Jim McNeely record with the HR band? You know, it was just beautiful. I just loved it so much. And that again, the thing about the community, you know, there's a lot of conversations about diversity and stuff these days. I feel like the kind of metric that's often not talked about is age.
Yeah.
Like diversity of age. Like, is your band or your institution, does it have people from all ages? Because my God, there's something to be gained from that.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, like, of course, the experience that older cats have got, the hunger and often just like raw ability that younger cats have got. There's benefits to both. And for me, again, a thing I love about music is it connects me to people of all ages. I'll always have friends who are in their 70s.
Yeah.
I'll always have friends who are
in their 20s as well.
in their late teens.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I teach students who are in their late teens, and it's incredible. And then you go to Ronnie's and you hear players, and you're like, oh my God, you know, who the fuck is this? There's this young Trinity trumpet player whose name has escaped me right now, but he's just blowing my mind at the moment. I heard him play at Ronnie's. I'm just chatting to him. You know, he's just 19, 20 years old. What the hell is that? Like, it's just bonkers. But, you know, you get to chat to these people and see what their life is like and what makes them tick and how they've got into the music. And it'll often be different to how we got into the music because they're from a different generation. And there's so much growth and learning to be had there. And, of course, when you're hanging with the older cats.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, that is just everything to me. You know, so I'm so grateful for all the mentors I've got. You know, brilliant. So
100%.
Again, another reason that I'm so grateful to be doing music, man.
Yeah, it's an exciting time as well. There's so much going on, always stuff to learn. Yeah, one of the things I wrote down as well is, I think we kind of touched upon it, but what advice would you give to young musicians? I think that sense of just the community, always doing it for the right reasons.
100%.
And being like an eternal student.
Mate, I mean, I think basically you've just hit them. Yeah, I think in terms of, I get asked by students, you know, man, what should I do? What should I be doing? Like, and not like musical questions. Like about like how to make it work. How do I do what you're doing? Like in 10 years time or something. And the thing is, I'm like, I'd love to tell you.
Yeah.
I'd love to tell you to be like, email this person.
Yeah.
Send them some of your scores, and they'll call you back and give you loads of work. But it don't work like that.
No.
And
what thing might work for you might not work for them.
Exactly. Well, but also what we came out of the scene was 15 years ago, or whatever, 13 years ago when we graduated, maybe. I mean, since then there's been like Brexit and COVID and like, you know, social media.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember when I was at Trinity, I had a Facebook account. I didn't have a website. Instagram.
MySpace.
Yeah, I think MySpace had kind of died by then.
Yeah.
I think maybe Instagram was a thing, but I wasn't really on it.
No.
Yeah. And I mean, that's unthinkable now.
No.
Like, I mean...
So it wasn't videos, was it? It was
no,
like
it certainly wasn't.
the odd picture here and there.
Yeah, I guess like the bandwidth of our shitty like 3G or our WAP. What's it called? WAP?
Fap.
Yeah. You know, just couldn't handle it, right? But, you know, whatever. So it was... so that's just completely different. The landscape is just completely different. The whole home recording thing. You weren't expected to be able to home record 13 years ago. Now all my students know that that's a thing they have to get together is engineering. Definitely. I got it together in COVID.
Yeah.
That's not that long ago.
Even like video editing and stuff like that.
All of that.
Yeah. Learning about social, like the algorithm. Well, there's like so many things to learn.
It's crazy. So, you know, that's all happened in 13 years.
Yeah.
And sometimes I have this kind of frustration with the line of questioning by students about that. Like, you know, how do I do this? How do I do that? Sometimes I'm like, it seems superficial. I think, God, I never asked my teachers that.
No.
How do you get that gig? You know, I'd be asking them, how do I voice this chord for like 4 French horns? You know, that was the kind of shit I was asking them. It was about the music. It was about the technique. It was about the discipline. But I got to check myself when I feel that frustration, because when I graduated from Trinity, I was paying $350 a month rent.
I mean, it's mental now.
$350 a month rent in
Where do you live in?
East Greenwich.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's low for that area.
Right.
As well.
It was low even for that time.
Yeah.
But the point was there was deals like that out there.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, maybe people were probably paying more like $500 a month. Right?
Yeah.
Now people are paying $1,000.
Yeah. Easily.
And have wages doubled? No. Have gig fees doubled, tripled? No. I mean, like TFL's gone up, you know, everything's gone up, groceries, you know, bills. So I kind of have to check myself, and I have to understand that I could leave Trinity being like, look, if I have a couple of functions a month. And
also, fees are triple, right?
Sorry?
Fees are triple now, right? From when as in like the fees to go to university.
Oh, yeah. Well,
triple.
Forget all of that.
Mental.
I mean, yeah, God, when you get into that, it's just...
Another
well, I mean, when I did my undergrad, it was $1,000 a year.
Wow.
So my whole fees for my undergraduate were $3,000. It's just it's deeply upsetting, and so I have to understand that for these students, they're like, you know, I came out of Trinity being like, if I can just get a couple of functions a month, do a few gigs with this band I'm in, have a teaching job 1 day a week, I can survive. Now they're like, just to survive.
Yeah, you got
just to survive, I need $3,000 a month. What's that as a salary? You know, fucking 38 quid. Yeah, 38 grand. Yeah, it's like, oh my God. So they can't wait for that. They can't slum it for a few years. They need it now. You know, unless they got parents who can subsidise their rent or something. You know.
Yeah.
And that bothers me because I have a problem with parents subsidising people's rent, but it's like we don't want the scene to be... Well, we want the scene to be elite, but not that kind of elite.
No.
You know, like, we want the scene to be full of great musicians who give a fuck about music, and they're hungry to understand the music and understand the art. We don't want people who would just have rich parents.
Yeah.
And I do worry that that's a bit of a direction we're heading in, you know.
Yeah.
But anyhow, whatever. I mean, he's almost it's getting into politics, really, you know, and just kind of political decisions that are made higher up. But yeah, it's the world we're in, and again, like people need answers now. They're like, man, if I'm going to do this, I need to be doing it. Like by the time I'm finished, I need to be doing gigs. I need to be, you know, please tell me, how do I do it? Like, man, I don't know. But also, I didn't get it by asking people older than me. I did it by building, or we all did it, by building each other up. You know,
observing as well, observing what people are doing.
Exactly.
At that level.
Just being like, all right, I need a sax player. And then you're booked and you're like, and they say, oh, Matt, I don't know any trumpet players. Can you book a trumpet player? And then you're like, oh, yeah, I know this great guy. Matt, do you want to do this gig? Yeah, great, And then, it's just, I don't know. We all rise and then one of you gets a record deal and now they need a string arranger. Or one of you becomes a manager of a person who's got a record deal. Or one of you gets into musical theatre. One of you... gets into like TV scoring or library music or what the hell. I mean, the multitude of ways there is to make a living from music.
But what the question is almost very focused on one individual doing one thing, whereas your answer was focused on the collective
100%.
of exactly what we're talking about, the community.
Totally.
So I think if you're kind of focusing on that, maybe the minutiae is too much. You're getting obsessed with the minutiae of what's there. Yeah. Whereas if you're kind of spanning out, getting to know the community, going around, seeing what people are doing, then that hopefully will kind of expand and hopefully kind of you can see the bigger picture.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, I think, I totally agree. It's community is everything. And I think the thing that I worry, because most of my students are composition students, and I think the problem with composers is they're quite solitary.
Right.
Their existence is mostly chained to Sibelius, and the piano. And
do many of them play as well?
Well, some of them do, yeah. And often what I see is the ones that flourish after are the ones who've also played.
Right.
Which is that is another bit of advice I give specifically my composition students is keep playing.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I know I said I kind of stopped practicing while I was at Trinity because I was, I was practicing other things. I was trying to like digest orchestral scores. I was analysing, harmony, doing reductions of things. Obviously writing my own music, doing studies, counterpoint exercises, you name it. But in terms of the trumpet and my instrument, that definitely got neglected in that time. And it was only a few years later when I was getting gigs, because I think it's easier to pick up work as a player than it is as an arranger, honestly. I think I guess the thing about being an arranger is, if someone's going to book a studio big enough to have a string orchestra in it or a big band in it or whatever. So already that's like 6 studios?
Yeah.
Maybe there's more because we're in London, right? But and what studios? Abbey Road, Air, Angel, which is now being bought by Abbey Road, so their prices have doubled. Rack, Rack's the kind of like cheap option, but it's still a really great studio. Empire, I did some stuff there last week, but whatever. These studios start at I don't know, 800 a day. I mean, really, that's on the cheaper side of things. Sometimes it gets to 2-3 grand a day. But so if someone's going to book a studio of that cost, book a quantity of musicians where an arranger is required, right? So we're talking, of course, I do stuff for string quartets and stuff, but maybe string orchestra, let's say, or big band, that could be 17 musicians, 18 musicians, all their fees. Yeah. The kind of engineer that can engineer a session like that. Yeah. It's not just plug in and play. That's some people are out there with a measuring tape, getting that stuff and a knowledge of microphones that I certainly don't have. And if they're going to spend basically what ends up amounting to 5-6 grand and upwards, are they going to trust some fucking young whippersnapper, from Darlington, 22 years old, with that? Because if the arrangement's shit, it doesn't matter who you've booked. It's going to sound like shit. So I think there's a bit of gatekeeping, but almost a gatekeeping that's kind of makes sense. Yeah. Because we can't waste musicians' time. No. That's a big thing for me. I hate when musicians' time is wasted. We can't waste money, the time of the engineers, whatnot. So and also you don't want the artist or whoever's paying for it to have a bad experience, because they'll go, well, yeah, we paid some money for a string session.
We'll do it again.
And yeah, we're never doing that again. Well, that's not good for the scene, is it? You know, so
No.
I think there's kind of an amount of gatekeeping that I support in a way that's about the quality of your work, you know. Like you just even dumb shit, like are your parts copied well?
Yeah.
I mean, it's not hard to do that, but when I see it neglected, it really rubs it the wrong way because I'm like, you haven't respected the musicians, you know, who are taking the time to play your dots, and you know, and now the session's going to take longer than it should do. You know, we should be in the pub by now. You know, but instead we're trying to like have a conversation about how long this crotch sheet should be because you haven't marked it. You know. Anyhow, so anyway, whatever. Whereas if you're on a gig and the trumpet player's bad or average, whatever. You know, the gig still happens. They're listening to the singer anyhow. You know, it's less consequential, I think. And so I found that, and also it begins and ends with a gig. You can turn up to a gig, you read down the dots, and you leave. And that's a very boundaried way of working. The thing when you get an arranging deadline, it's hanging over you.
Right.
You know, we could be having this hang, we could be in the pub, and I'm thinking,
you got to do that.
I've got to be doing that thing. Maybe, you know, I'm enjoying these pints, but I know I should really be making a dent on that big arranging project I've got hanging over.
How many of these are you doing at the moment?
Sorry?
How many of these are like an arrangement deadlines are you doing at the moment?
So I'm blessed right now, and I'm thoroughly enjoying this. I've come out of a period of insane arranging. I've got a thing for an Albert Hall thing lined up for end of November, but the I haven't been set the set list yet, or the recordings. You know, so it's kind of like I know it's there, but there's nothing I can do right now. I don't have the raw materials to get cracking with.
It's a nice place to be.
It's a beautiful place to be. So,
especially for summer when there's so many gigs going on as well.
Yeah, man. Yeah,
I feel like winter's more of like, for me anyway, it feels like more like arranging and writing time.
Nice.
Do you know what I mean? More time to do that horn section stuff. More time to kind of approach artists and be like, can we do this? Because I like going on to what you were saying, just from making horn section parts to artists, I've got work from that.
Oh yeah.
So just sending them on Instagram, being like, or just tagging them in and being like, this is your tune with horns on it.
Yeah.
Like several of them have said, when we're in London next, let's do a gig together.
Let's do it.
Or basically, can you do a recording of my new tune?
Yeah.
And it's like, just from doing that, and then kind of having the passion of just saying, right, I'm going to add this to this, and having the confidence of just being like, this is your tune with horns on it. Do you like it? 9 times out of 10, most people come back and go like, yeah, that sounds sick. Can we do some more of that in the future? And I think it kind of ties into what you were saying earlier about kind of having that and putting yourself forward and not thinking too much like, oh, I don't know if I like it. Just having that kind of confidence just to be like, this is what it would sound like.
Yeah, man.
And we're showing them like
it's just fun, isn't it?
Yeah, it's great fun.
It's just
Horns
like
the best.
I mean, again, I just think people overthink this stuff. It's just like we're just making music. We're just being like when I was a teen. I look back at the teen. I bet you're the same. I bet almost everyone we know is the same. My teenage years were spent. Look, don't get me wrong. Fucking about, getting into trouble, drinking, being naughty, but it was also full of starting bands. You know, definitely. Starting like a ska punk band, starting like an emo band. You know, I used to play drums in an emo band. I've done over 100 gigs on drums.
I would love to see the photos from that.
Just daft. You know, you just whatever. Like, what else? What is there better to do in life than like be creative with your mates? I just think it's so beautiful, and I think it's possible to lose sight of that when you become a professional, because I think one thing that happens when you become a professional, you start being very aware of how much your time is worth. Yeah, you have to, because people contact you, and well, often they say, "I need this doing. How much would you charge?" And you have to go. Damn.
You get most texts like that. I get sometimes once a day on my phone, just being like. You have to think about that in your head.
You have to think about it, you know, and so I think everyone in the back of their mind knows what their hourly rate is and knows what their day rate is. And so, you know, you can, I mean, one thing I say to my students, again, students ask me, you know, how much should I charge that, you know, I say, all right, do you have a teaching job? They say, yeah. I was like, all right, what's your teaching pay? And then it's like, oh, you know, 40 quid an hour or something. All right, that's your hourly rate.
Yeah.
Right. So then how much is that for a day? Like, let's say, make it 6 hours, right? The 6 hour working day or whatever. I don't know how much a normal working day is, but you know, you, okay, so then that's your day rate. So then now ask yourself, how long is it going to take me to do this job? And then work it out.
Yeah.
And then, and if they push back, just say, I'm just sorry, that is just how much my time is worth. It's like, I mean, a lot of what I do, I think of myself, and if you think the same, sometimes I think of myself as like a labourer. You know, you're like a kitchen fitter, you know, and someone's like, can you fit this kitchen? This is what I want. I want underfloor heating. I want a traditional roll top bath. You know, I want a bog. I want, you know, a medicine cabinet, you know, whatever. And you go, how much does it cost? And you have to go, how long is that going to take me? A couple of weeks. I'll probably have to hire this guy in. You just tally it all up, and you say about that. Yeah. And I think that's what I do a lot of the time with arranging stuff. But it's the same with performing stuff. You go, someone asks you to do a gig in, you know, Tuscany.
Yeah.
The fee's going to be different to doing a big band read down at the Vortex. You know, I'll turn up and read a big band gig at the Vortex for door money. You know, door money split, which between a big band is not a lot, right? But we all do it because we want to be part of. Like, we all enjoy playing big band, and we want there to be big band music in our city. But like, someone wants to play me a wedding in Tuscany. You know, the money's got to be ridiculous because I don't need that. No. Like when we're on our deathbed and we're recanting our years as a professional musician, no one gives a shit about the fucking wedding you did in Tuscany, you know. And I'm not turning my nose up. Either. Yeah, exactly. And I'm not turning my nose at that work, you know. I mean, that's bread and butter for a lot of musicians. That work, you know, good money and stuff. But yeah, I don't know. It's good money for a reason. Yeah, you know, because it's like, you know, I'd rather, you know, a lot of us would rather be doing something else. Yeah, you know, exactly. So I don't know. It's all these things to think about. You know, calculating all that stuff. It's interesting, man. Yeah.
Yes, there's a lot to think about as a musician. Right, I think we'll wrap that up. That was absolutely legendary.
Bless you, man. Come on, I love you, Max.
Thanks so much.
Yeah. Yes.
Thanks a lot, everybody. Bye bye.
Yeah, man. That's it.